and welcome back to the Bored Whovian YouTube channel, and it is day 10 of the 14 days of Doctor Who. We are getting scarily close to Christmas Day. It is the 20th of December as this should be coming out. It isn't, obviously, as I'm recording it. It's actually the 17th. I'm actually starting to cut it quite fine, and I just need to really start getting these videos wrapped up, or, you know, the last of these ones might not actually come out on time. But, yeah, on this day, I had to review Time of the Doctor. Obviously, Matt Smith's final performance as the Doctor so far, but, you know, the final performance of his run, the final appearance of the 11th Doctor. So a pretty significant story in the whole scheme of Doctor Who, you know. It's the second regeneration story we've had to come across in this journey. Obviously, I've also had to do End of Time, which appeared right at the top of the list. You know, does Time of the Doctor end up near there? And if you saw day one, which hopefully a lot of you did, you'd know I don't look on this story too favourably. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it deals with too much stuff. I think it chucks too much at it. And, you know, the majority of the time, if there's no real villain to a story, I'm not going to like it. There is one outlier in this, and it's in this list. And now I've said that, I think you should know what that is. But it's not this story. But this story, to me, I'm not the biggest fan. Now, the whole concept is that there's a planet which is submitting a signal. No one knows what the signal is, and all the aliens of the universe have collaborated around it, like the Slovene, everyone. You know, they even mentioned like the pteroleptals. You know, just everyone's there, and it turns out the signal is coming from Gallifrey, from another universe, through the crack in the wall, and it's coming out there because there is a truth field, so the Doctor has to answer it, which will mean it's safe, and the Gallifreyans will know they can come through. So the Time Lords are trying to get back out, basically. And I remember watching this for the first time and thinking, that's a bit quick. You know, the next story after Day of the Doctor shouldn't really involve the Time Lords. I mean, the fact that they could have come back in the next story if the Doctor nearly let them through. But yeah, if I just go through certain things, like I've got a lot of notes, but I've done it's in chronological order. But you know, I mean, I still don't like the tiles. I still despise them, but I'm not going to go too deep into that. There's the naked jokes with the whole church stuff. Again, I really don't like this kind of stupid humour, and I don't know. The thing I don't like about this Doctor, okay, now look, I like Matt Smith's Doctor. He's a good Doctor. The one thing I don't like about his Doctor, the one thing which really annoys me, is sometimes he tries to, like, I think that's more in the writing than the performance. Or the writing is influencing the performance and ruining it a little bit. In that sometimes he's coming across like a bit of like, he's written almost like nerdy in a way, like he comes across a bit bemused by women in some points, and yet this is the Doctor which is supposed to like marry with a song. I'm like, those two things don't come across together. It comes across a bit weird when this Doctor's like flirtatious and, you know, stripping nude and meeting Tasha Lem, which I'll get onto, and it doesn't fit his Doctor. You know, coming straight off the David Tennant's Doctor, where even though I'm not a fan of sexualising the Doctor, it somewhat kind of works in that way, and even works better in Day of the Doctor when, you know, Matt Smith's actually laughing at him because of it, and then in the next story he's doing this. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. This is the Moffat stuff, which I don't like. I don't dislike Moffat. I think Moffat is a very talented writer, and I do like a lot of the stuff he's brought to the show. But this is the kind of stuff where I go, Moffat, no, don't do this. Come on, this isn't you. Don't do this. But, you know, this story introduces the Papal Mainframe Church and Tasha Lem. You know, I don't understand why in such an important story they're just introducing new things. And I understand why, because this story has the job of concluding all the story arcs which are set up during the 11th Doctor's run. Why did Moffat let it run down to a final 60-minute episode? Why? So, he has to explain how the TARDIS gets blown up, which is done in just a little scene. I feel like that was just like, he'd written a scene and just went, oh, I forgot to mention how the TARDIS, oh, that would just be a one-off line. Okay, good. also explains that the same people who are blowing up the TARDIS are the same people setting up the whole River Song to kill the Doctor in Series 6. And also the crack is, the crack was concluded, but the crack is just more explained more. That's the thing. I listened to the Five Who fans podcast like a year ago, and after they'd finished, they just recorded a one-off podcast because one of them just recorded them having a conversation while they were drunk. And it was like, one of them came up with a really good point. What is the crack? Because in Series 5, it hits you, you don't exist anymore, you're wiped from the universe. But sometimes it's a gap and a teleport between two different universes, as seen in this story. So, what? Can you explain that for me? But anyway, yeah, the whole church and Tashlem, I don't get the whole point of introducing them. It's a bit, I don't know, just a bit dumb. There's just pointless cameos. Like the Weeping Angels scene is just, hey, the Weeping Angels are nice, let's just have a scene of them. No. The majority of Weeping Angel appearances are like 1 minute little, scenes where they've remembered they have the Weeping Angel statue props and they've just brought them out. And it's just annoying. The Cybermen and Daleks are in this, but they're not Cybermen and Dalek stories. Like, I don't see stories like this. It's very like The Vanquishers, which came out not too long ago. I'm like, why are the Cybermen and Daleks here? Why? I don't need them in this story. You've also got that they try and explain the regeneration limit. As obviously it's established in, I believe, The Deadly Assassin. Yes, it's established in The Deadly Assassin, which is 1976, I think. 1976. Or 7. Struggling there. That the Time Lord has 13 lives and can regenerate 12 times. And it's explained here, and I think it's rushed, that 11 has done his limit, as they use John Hurt to explain it, which makes sense. He's literally one of the Doctors. That explains it, so he should have 1 life left. And then they use the regeneration from the stolen Earth, which barely anyone will remember, as an excuse. And I feel like it's just him it's Moffat getting it out of the way, which is a waste. As I've heard, I don't want to feel like I'm copying people's opinions, but it's opinions which I've heard and I agree with. As when I saw a review of this story when it originally came out, I heard Billy Tracy say, again of the Five Who fans, say that look, it's kind of taking away original ideas for storytelling. There are so many stories to explore the Doctor's opinions on mortality when he knows he's on his final life. And imagine Peter Capaldi being the Doctor to explore that. No, he's got a new regeneration cycle, which is just a bit of a shame. Also, this story reuses a lot of music, not just from this era, from like the past era. There's music from the End of Time in this, and a lot of people think when you can reuse music, it's to establish emotional beats or like remix it. Now, I'm gonna talk for a second right now about something else. I watched Spider-Man No Way Home 2 days ago. This is the 17th, so I watched it 2 days ago on the day it came out in the UK. And it reused music from past Spider-Man films. I'm not going to say which Spider-Man films in case you haven't seen it at this point when the video comes out, but it reuses music, but doesn't reuse them. It like remixes them and suits the scenes they're in. This is just like picking a track and just plopping them in, and it doesn't suit, because my head instantly goes to the scenes they're in. I'm like, this just feels a bit wrong. Like, one of them is like the theme which plays for Amy when she's a little kid, when the Doctor's chatting to the kid Barnab or whatever, and I'm just like, this doesn't feel right. It's not really mixing quite well. And this was, I feel like, the period in time when Murray Gold was getting a little bit lazy. Don't want to get into that. But yeah, moving on. There are some good things in this story. There are some. For example, the Doctor tricking Clara twice to drop her back off and kind of save her from Translaw, which is really nice. As it kind of just, and even the second time is really good because she goes, "Promise me you'll never do it. Promise me you'll never do it again." And then he looks her dead in the eye and says in such a nice way he can, "I promise I'll never do it to you again." And then he just does it, which shows how easy it is for the Doctor to lie and how alien he is. But at the same time, how much he cares for people. He can just, and he's such a convincing lie, he will just flick it like a switch. You know, he isn't, you know, the nicest man on the planet. He will do whatever he thinks is right, no matter how much you care. So overall, this story is a little bit better than I remember, with certain aspects. It's not as annoying as I remember, but it's still a story that this is not the kind of story that I go to Doctor Who for, because it just doesn't feel that right. Yeah, I don't see the point in it. I was watching the story when it came out, when I was 11, just waiting for him to regenerate. I was like, okay, any minute now. Any minute. Oh, he's dying of old age, is he? Great, give me 5 minutes. Done, there we go. You know, sorry, I hit my laptop there. The screen moved a bit, but okay. That's just it. That's it. This story isn't for me. If you're annoyed and you like this story, please talk about it. I know one of my favourite YouTubers, Davis. This is his favourite Doctor Who story, and I don't want to take that away from him. But I don't like this story that much. It really doesn't do it for me. But if you like it, you like it. It's just, I'm not going to rewatch it. I don't hate it. I rarely hate a Doctor Who episode. Like, I don't actively despise Doctor Who episodes. But I can just dislike them and not rewatch them. And I'm not going to rewatch this one. It's just not one for me. But I think the fact that I dislike the arcs that lead to this story impacts that as well. As the scene where he sees the crack, I just feel like it's being so forced. Like, we haven't seen this since 2010 and you're having to reinforce it 3 years later. You know, it's just like, God, Moffat's having to pay the bill, isn't he? God. You know, this is Moffat tidying up his room for Peter Capaldi to step in, effectively. That's exactly what this story is, you know, in terms of the premise. But yeah, I don't like the Gallifreyans coming back so quickly. I mean, in a way, I don't like the fact that it has to force these arcs in. But one thing I do like is the ending. That is perfectly done. Perfectly done. You've got one thing which I will mention. One thing. After Series 12 and the revelations surrounding the Timeless Child, one of my first thoughts was, then why does the Doctor get a new regeneration cycle in Time of the Doctor? If the Doctor's the Timeless Child, they don't have a limit. So what's going on here? I don't understand. So yeah, move away from that problem, because I don't want to ask Chris Chibnall I nearly called him Christmas Chibnall. Don't ask Chris Chibnall any questions, because he probably doesn't know the answer either. Joking. I'm not hating on Chris Chibnall. Just, I have my problems with him. But moving on, the Doctor has this epic regeneration, kills everyone, blah, 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 blah. And just after that, you have Clara walk into the TARDIS, the phone's hanging out, which is a reference to the next episode, as he calls Clara in the future. But when Clara's in the TARDIS and you can't see the Doctor and you see the steps coming up, in the moment, watching this for the first time, I was praying that was Peter Capaldi. Because I was like, if you're not going to do an introduction, how shocking would it be if he just walks up and goes, and they have a conversation, and then it leads into the first episode. I would have been so down for that. But instead, they go a different route around the story, and he explains it's just a reset, and he goes back to his young self. And I'm like, what? Why? Okay. That's just an excuse to get Matt Smith back looking how he is. The speech that he has, beautiful, amazing. Not only for the meaning behind it, but also the fact that it feels like it's coming from Matt Smith himself and the Doctor at the same time. You know, I'll remember when the Doctor was me. That is from Matt Smith. Those are Matt Smith's words. Not the Doctor's. Those are Matt Smith's. Just the idea behind, you know, remember all the people that you used to be is such an amazing lesson to be learned. You know, because we do all change, and I just love this speech. It's beautifully written with such a delicate, careful nature. It's a wonderful speech. Amy returns as the Doctor's kind of hallucinating her, I guess. Why? I mean, I get he's realised what Russell did with at the end of time, bringing all of Ten's and companions back. But there, it's like natural because he actually goes to them. And instead he just hallucinates it just so he can bring Karen Gillan back. He could have easily done exactly what they did in Classic Who and just like had them flash before him in his head. which he does do with the 12th Doctor in the Doctor Fools. But, yeah, it's not too big a deal, because the overall scene is beautiful. However, when he does regenerate, obviously he's already done the big transition, kind of outside, killing all the Daleks and everyone. But the actual regeneration is a bit off, because he just kind of sneezes. He just kind of, I'm Piccabody. Like, it's just, like, sudden. I remember watching it and being like, what? It was just, yeah, fine. But it makes me smile, because after that regeneration, you get the brilliant Scottish Peter Capaldi! And I am so happy that he's there. I love Peter Capaldi. I actually love him. I love him as the Doctor. I love him as a human being. Great man, great Doctor. And I can't wait for the Earth for tomorrow, because I'm going to have to rewatch a Peter Capaldi episode. And whether I dislike Last Christmas or not, I'm going to love the next video that I do. But yeah, overall this story, if I'd give it a score out of 10, I'm giving it a 5. It's watchable, but for me, it really doesn't do it at all for me. Really, it's just personal preference. It's one of those ones where I can't explain too much why I don't like it. I'm not too sure why I don't like it. No, it just doesn't work. But I really like the ending and the transition from the Doctor, and well, not the transition itself, like the actual regeneration, but like the final scene is really good, which is very similar to, you know, other Doctors as well. But yeah, that's just my opinion on the Time of the Doctor. So, comment below what you think of the story. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Comment below. You know, if you like the video, please say why and all stuff. If you like this kind of content, subscribe for more types of this content. And also ding the bell for notifications if you want to see when I'm uploading and be notified. And also, if you like this video, why not just give it a like? Show me that you like it. That will be a nice little signal to me that I should be continuing doing stuff like this. But yeah, that is it with today's video. Oh god, I just realised. Also, I've got an Instagram, which should be attached to this channel. It's in the description. At the _board_Whovian. Check it out. That's all a lot of fun. But anyway, I've been the Board Whovian, and I'll see you around. Merry Christmas.